Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're going to do something absolutely fascinating. We are about to decode the secret human behaviors that govern every single one of our social interactions. It's literally a hidden language you've been speaking your entire life without even realizing it. Trust me, get ready to never look at a normal conversation the same way ever again.
To kick things off, listen to this. By a man's fingernails, by his coat sleeve, by his boots, a man's calling is plainly revealed. That's the legendary Sherlock Holmes from way back in 1892, practically inviting us to become master detectives of human nature. You see, the idea that our physical presentation gives away our true intentions, it's not some new age concept. It is a tried and true, age-old reality.
So that brings us to a massive question, one that kind of challenges a basic assumption almost all of us hold. How much of your communication do you think is actually verbal? We completely obsess over the exact words we're going to use in a big meeting or maybe on a first date, but what if those words are actually the least important part of the entire conversation?
Section 1. The illusion of words. Why what you say barely matters.
Okay, let's completely shatter this illusion of spoken language right now. Take a look at that tiny 7% slice. This is Albert Mehrabian's famous rule of communication from the 1950s, and it proves that the vast majority of our impact comes entirely from how we look and sound. A staggering 55% of our message is nonverbal. We're talking facial expressions and gestures. Another 38% is your vocal tone. That means only 7% is the actual words coming out of your mouth.
And if that sounds unbelievable, get this: 11 minutes. Anthropologist Ray Birdwhistle found that the average human actually speaks words for a total of only 10 to 11 minutes a single day. A typical spoken sentence takes just about 2.5 seconds. For thousands of years of our evolution, way before spoken language fully developed, body language and throat sounds were our primary way to communicate emotions. And, biologically speaking, they still are.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of intuition, the biology of reading people.
So, let's transition from the theory to some hard, biological science to see who's naturally better at reading these hidden signals. What we usually just casually call women's intuition isn't magic, folks. It's a scientifically measurable reality. This chart shows a really fascinating Harvard study where researchers showed men and women short films with the sound turned completely off and then asked them to decode what was happening just from the visual expressions. The women read the situation accurately 87% of the time. The men, only 42%. Women vastly outperformed men in reading those silent visual cues. And MRI scans brilliantly show us exactly why this happens. Women literally have between 14 and 16 areas of the brain dedicated solely to evaluating others, whereas men only have 4 to 6 areas. This whole thing is deeply tied to evolutionary biology. Think about it. For the first few years of a child's life, mothers rely almost entirely on nonverbal channels to figure out what their baby needs. That crucial early child-rearing necessity evolved into an incredible, biological ability to rapidly decode human behavior.
Section 3. 3 rules of reading your detective methodology.
All right, now that we've got the science down, let's build your detective toolkit. If you want to be accurate at this, you absolutely must follow 3 essential rules. Rule 1, read in clusters. A single gesture is just like a single word, and words can have tons of meanings. To avoid rookie mistakes like, assuming someone scratching their head is lying when they might just have dandruff, you need a cluster of gestures to make a full sentence. Rule 2, look for congruence. Do their words actually match their body language? If they don't, trust the body, not the words. And Rule 3, read in context. Where are you, and what is the environment?
Let's see how this builds a full body language sentence in the real world. This right here is what we call the critical evaluation cluster. Notice how the gestures come together. You've got an index finger pointing up the cheek, another finger covering the mouth, tightly crossed arms across the chest, and crossed legs. If someone is doing this while you're speaking to them, this entire cluster screams, "I completely disagree with you," or "I'm holding back negative feelings." If they say they absolutely love your idea while sitting exactly like this, well, their words and body are completely incongruent.
But hold on, we really have to emphasize Rule 3 here regarding context. Imagine seeing someone with tightly crossed arms and legs outside on a freezing, snowy day. They aren't being hostile, they aren't defensively blocking you out, they're just freezing. Context is literally everything. You simply cannot apply a meaning to a gesture without considering the physical environment it's happening in.
Section 4. The anatomy of a lie. Spotting the deception.
Okay, let's apply our new skills to everyone's favorite high-stakes scenario, spotting a liar. Deception actually has an anatomy, and it physically evolves as we age. It all starts in childhood. Notice how a 5-year-old tells a lie. It's so incredibly obvious, right? The very moment an untruth leaves their lips, they will blatantly slap one or both hands right over their mouth. It's this panicked, instinctual attempt by the brain to physically block the deceitful words from escaping.
But what's really amazing is that as we grow up, that underlying urge, it never actually leaves us. By the time we become teenagers, the brain is still sending the exact same signal to the hand to cover the mouth. But because we've matured a bit, the gesture speeds up. It turns into a much more subtle, light rub around the lips rather than that full, dramatic hand slap.
And finally, look at what happens when an adult lies. The brain gives the exact same order to cover the mouth. The hand reaches up, but then adult social conditioning kicks in, and the hand pulls away at the absolute last microsecond. The end result? The famous telltale nose touch. It is literally just the sophisticated adult version of the 5-year-old's mouth-covering gesture. The hidden language remains exactly the same.
Section 5. The power of palms, the ultimate trust signal.
For our final masterclass today, let's zero in on one specific, highly actionable body part that has literally shaped human history: your palms. In the animal kingdom, when a dog wants to show submission or surrender to a victor, it rolls over and exposes its highly vulnerable throat. Well, humans have a very similar evolutionary mechanism. Over thousands of years, we've evolved to expose our open palms to boldly prove we are unarmed, honest, and definitely not a threat. Think about it for a second. Courtroom oaths are sworn with an open palm. It's this ancient, deeply built-in display of truth. And you can literally use this today. When people are being completely open and honest in explaining their reasons to you, they naturally use their hands and flash their palms in your direction. In fact, professional salespeople are specifically trained to watch for this exact gesture. It helps them figure out if a customer's objection is totally genuine or if they're secretly hiding the real truth while their hands are stuffed deep down in their pockets. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to do a quick check right at this very moment. Seriously, stop and look at your own arms, your legs, your hands. Because whether you realize it or not, you are always speaking. You've been broadcasting your internal world to the outside world your entire life. The question is, now that you finally know the hidden language, what are you going to say?